Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome, friends, to episode number 25 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. Have you ever thought that you have too much stuff? Or that you want to be more organized, that you want to simplify your life somehow? Enter minimalism. Today we'll talk about why minimalism is becoming more appealing in this age of modern technology and how you can apply it to your own life and get started. So I've always been inspired by the idea of internal success and internal wealth, of creating a world that's simple yet beautiful from the inside out. And at the same time, I've always been interested in the pursuit of excellence in the external world. I always wanted to see the best of lists, whether it was restaurants, places to live, cars, investment pieces. How do we have a life that's full of amazing things that are meaningful and that last? Enter minimalism, a pursuit of less but more. And while I was interested in the idea of less, I didn't really know how to start the process of getting rid of the things in my life that I've accumulated, the things that were hanging around unappreciated. And when Marie Kondo came into the picture, I went full in. Here was a methodology that I could actually follow. I asked myself, does this spark joy? And with that, ended up removing bags and boxes of clothes, electronics, and books out of our apartment. So what then do we do about all the things that enter into our homes? I saw that I had a way of getting it all out, but at the same time, I thought how terrible it was that we just bring things into our lives just to get rid of them. And the same thing that we lusted after, that we really wanted, was no longer so appealing anymore. And it didn't take very long for that to happen. If you think about one of, maybe your last purchases and how it was so exciting when it was all new, and now that you have the thing, you're using the thing, maybe it's not as appealing anymore. Maybe you don't even care about it. Maybe you haven't even looked at it in a while. And I know that doesn't apply to everything that you have, but I would wager that there are a lot of things in your life that just kind of sit around unappreciated. And so technology has made it so easy to not only see the things that we want, but to want them, right? We're getting marketed to all the time, and to then buy it. It's never been easier to buy things. So you can get things the next day delivered to your home if you wanted to. It is all so easy. And I think that's one of the reasons why minimalism, or having less, has become more and more appealing, because it's been easier and easier to have more. The other day I was describing to my daughters the way that things used to work, how a long time ago things were all handmade, so you couldn't just easily make things. You couldn't just quickly reproduce stuff. Someone had to take a lot of time and energy, and because of that, you didn't have as much and you appreciated things a lot more. Now, there's a balance between everything being handmade and having all this painstaking labor, and to be able to provide people with things at a lower cost. There's a balance to that. But at the same time, I think we've tipped the scales where we have excess. We have more than we need of most of the material things in our life. And I remember I had this feeling of just, how can this happen one day when we went to the container store to buy containers for all the things we had in our life? And it just suddenly clicked in my head that I was going to spend hundreds of dollars on things to hold things. Well, what if I didn't have those things in the first place? I wouldn't be trying to figure out how to hold all of them and store all of them. And that to me was just so appealing. The idea of not even having all of that stuff in the first place and then trying to find boxes and jars and clever contraptions to hold them. And I remember I just walked out of the store that day, not buying a single thing. And that's what slowly started me thinking more and more about slowing down that process of buying so that I could enjoy the space that I had created by moving things out of my life. So when we decided to buy a house and move, which wasn't that long ago, minimalism became a bigger part of my life. And if there's any time that you start to think about what and how much stuff you have, it's when you move. You see all this stuff in all its glory. It's piled up in boxes. It's being packed away. You touch them, and they're being unearthed from years of neglect sometimes. And it's enough to make you want to throw it all away. You start thinking about how many people are going to have to move all this stuff. How much is it going to cost me? Where is it all going to go? Why then, again, did we acquire it all in the first place? And it all started making sense now. It was only when I started understanding the mindset behind our patterns of accumulation could I begin to unpack how I could truly start to live with less. So I'm sharing with you the 6 steps of how I started to become minimalist, and this includes the mindset work that has to happen in order for you to get there. So the first step is this. Think about what is truly important in your life. List these things out and see what of these are material goods and what of these are intangible. Once you do that, you start to see that the material things that you desire are much less than what you actually have in your life. If you didn't get a chance to do it now. Just write down what is important to me. Maybe it's friends, maybe it's travel, maybe it's food, maybe it's having shelter, maybe it's having a beautiful home, whatever it is, list it out. But once you do that, you will see that the material things don't overwhelm your list. And it doesn't matter to you that much to have those, martini glasses in your life, or those pair of flip-flops that may be the 6th, 7th pair that you have in your closet. And once you make this list, you can now move to step 2. Step 2 is to now ask yourself, why do you buy things? So what feeling are you satisfying when you purchase something? We often purchase things to buy security, worthiness, status, feeling of entertainment. And when you start to see that buying objects are really about buying feelings, you can start to unravel the ways in which we're lacking in this area. So instead of buying to fulfill these needs, can you create the feeling of security? Can you create a feeling of worthiness, status, or diversion or fun within yourself first? That may not be as simple. It may not be as easy, but you will see that that is one of the root causes of you accumulating things. Many times we buy things because we're bored. We buy things because we feel that if we do, it means that we suddenly have a good life. And if you start to ask yourself, well, what if I didn't buy this? Well, that means I just wouldn't have the latest gadget, gear, jewelry, set of clothes, fashion trend. What then would happen? Would you start to think, well, people wouldn't see me as this kind of person. They would think that, whatever, right? That I don't have all the stuff, that I am poor? Am I not wealthy? Am I boring? Am I not interesting? Do I not matter? So start to ask yourself, why do you buy these things? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy anything. There are so many things that we do need and that it's great to buy and that we need in our lives, and it's perfect that we're buying them. But you'll see that there are many other things that you can start to challenge yourself a little to start thinking, why do I buy these things? And how quick do I press the purchase button when these things happen? And I start to feel these feelings of insecurity, of lack of status, or I'm feeling bored. All right, the third step is to ask yourself, why do you want to have less? So we do things because they're either going to bring a ton of joy into our life or because it's really painful. And moving is that really painful thing where you're like, I want to have less because I don't want to move all this stuff. And on the other hand, you could be thinking about it in the positive side. What do you want to see in your life? Do you want to have less so that it's easier for you to clean? Can you imagine all these surfaces just clear? Maybe it's easier for you to maintain or keep track of things. Do you want to affect the environment positively and keep things out of landfills? Do you want to spend less money? Think of if you stopped purchasing all the random things that you bought in the last month, how much that would equate to. Do you want to have more money then to spend on the things that are more important to you? What if instead of buying 50 random things, you bought one really amazing thing? Do you want to create a life filled with more beauty? Do you want to have more time? Because decision making is easier when you have less. One of the reasons I thought about having less, especially in the area of my clothes or wardrobe, was that I wanted to have only clothes that looked great on me. And I know that sounds pretty simple, but at the same time, we all have things in our closet or things that are just around that don't really look good on us, but we just wear or we just have. I wanted to feel that anything that I put on looked amazing. I wanted to feel that there was no choice but to have clothes that made me feel put together, right? Clothes that were easy to just know that they were A, clean, B, appropriate, and C, ready to go. And so that was one of the things that were appealing to me. Another thing that was appealing about housewares was because I wanted a beautiful set of housewares. What did I have to let go of in order to have this set of housewares? I had to let go of all the random mismatching things that I accumulated over college, the mugs, the one plate, and saying to myself, what would it look like to have this cohesive set that was made from a local potter that was beautiful and durable? That to me was then worthwhile to pursue less but more, right? The more was actually appealing. Okay, step 4, decide on a goal. So what is it that you want to see? Do you want to have one clear shelf? Do you want to be able to see all the things that you own? Do you want to have clear desks or tables? Do you want to have 50% fewer clothes? You can actually start to think about things in terms of numbers too. I only want to have less than 20 pairs of shoes. I want to have everything fit into this simple spot that is made for it. Do you want to be able to pack for a week-long trip in 15 minutes? So what is your goal? Think about what would actually be really cool, exciting, would be worthwhile for you to pursue. And you can start thinking about numbers. Numbers sometimes help us get there. When we say to ourselves, okay, I can only have these many things, then I start to pick and choose what they are. So start to think in terms of what do you want to see in your life? How easy do you want to be? What is the goal that you want to have? All right, number 5, Step 5 is to pretend that you're moving and put all the things away. So you can start with one room or one area, but in that one space, clear the entire thing. So if it is a bookcase, clear the entire bookcase out. And if it's a room, clear the entire room. If it's a desk, clear the desk. Once you clear everything out, now only take out the things that you need to use or want to have, right? So if it's that bookcase, only bring back the things that you think you'll need in your life or that you really want to have in your life that you can't do without. You have to pretend as if you're moving and that everything has to go into storage. But in order for you to exist for the next several months, you need to have a few things. And that is not an easy thing to do because we love the feeling of security we have when we overpack, when we have a lot of things that anything you could possibly want is there. But you have to challenge yourself here because this is where the change occurs. This is when you actually start to see, wait a minute, I have to choose, I have to pick, I have to decide, and sometimes we have all the things so that we can avoid making decisions. So this is the crux of a lot of what keeps us from being minimalist, keeps us from having less, is decision making. This is when we're going to bite the bullet. This is when we're going to make the decision. And guess what? It's not permanent. So just give it a try. If you're curious to see how it goes, give it a try. And many times we start to realize that we don't look for these things that we don't see unless we really need them. So when we put it all away, how often do we actually think to ourselves later on, oh, you know what, there's this thing that I need and that I need to look for, and it's that. Many times we do the opposite. We try to get rid of things and we look at it and we think, oh, but this is just so special. And this is, I can't imagine just not having this. Go the other way. Pretend you never even saw it in the first place. Would you then go look for it? And that is the process of trying to reduce. I know that there are things that you have that are really sentimental to you. And I'm not saying to just get rid of all those things. I'm just saying that if this is something that you want to pursue, try to ask yourself, what would you actually miss? What would you actually go look for if you didn't have it? And that is where we are going. And you have to remember, and this is going to be morbid here, but it's true. At the end of the day, none of this stuff is going with you. And when we think about our parents, when we think about clearing things away from people who have passed in our life, it's actually hard to go through all the stuff that people have accumulated over their lives. So in a way, we're taking care of ourselves and of others when we make things simpler, when we have less. We are more free. We move around more easily. Our spirit feels lighter. Our soul feels lighter. And it's easier all around for a lot of people when you have less stuff. All right, so I know this is difficult, that this is a big change, but again, if you're this far in, if you're really listening to this, you probably have a part of you that's thinking, wow, this actually sounds really appealing. I would love to do it. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm telling you that you can, okay? So start with one area if you need to, but make it a clean sweep. Get rid of all the things first and then put the things back that you need. And again, keep to that goal. If you wanted to get rid of 90% of the things and only have 10% left, stick to that goal. If you wanted to have a clear desk, stick to that goal. All right. Now, step number 6. Buy things you truly think will stand the test of time. So this is where we have to notice when we are impulse shopping and when there's an actual need and be able to differentiate between the two. if you can delay gratification and see if you keep noticing that you need to purchase this or if it was just a passing desire. So this is where we start to become in tune with what we're buying and know if it's truly needed and special or if we're just fulfilling a feeling of lack in our life. If we're buying our comfort through not having to make a decision, so I buy 20 of them, one in every color. Therefore, everyone can have whatever they need, and I never have to deal with kids not having their one special color. This is the way that we avoid the hard things. We buy our comfort. We buy it through having all the possible clothes that we could possibly need, the coolest things that are out there, so everyone would think that we're cool, or everyone thinks that the things we have are nice, or everyone sees how great we are. And so notice that when we're looking at buying things that stand the test of time, it's things that may not be trendy. It may not be the latest and greatest. It may mean that you just have to be okay with having it, even when other people don't. And so there's a place here of vulnerability, of courage, of just saying, you know what? This is what I have, and I'm okay with that, right? And it may not be the best, it may not be the latest, the newest, the nicest, but you're gonna be okay. So those are the 6 steps. I wouldn't say that I'm a hardcore minimalist. Jay would say that we are less than maximalists, but I would say that I'm becoming minimalist, and we're keeping shelves empty on purpose. I'm trying to make sure that all my clothes fit into a dresser and a normal just hanging closet without all of the, off-season things stored away somewhere. And we're more discerning of what items come into our home. So I try to remember this. So 10 years ago, we went on a 7-week trip to Europe. And, we did lots of different things that included outdoor things, in the city things, all that kind of stuff. And we each brought one carry-on bag. This is Jay and I. And we brought one carry-on bag. It was the summer, so it did make it easier. But still, one carry-on bag for 7 weeks. And we brought back 11 bottles of wine in those bags between the two of us. So yes, more thought had to go into what I was packing. I remember thinking over and over, I had to have items that are versatile, right? Does this work with this? Does this work with that? Things had to serve multiple purposes. And I try to remember that experience anytime that I'm packing. And I start to think to myself, well, I just need to pack this one more thing. Instead, I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and I remember that I'm more than my things. I remember that I'm choosing to not have the things in my life define me. We have to make it, again, something bigger. We have to know why we're doing this. Bigger than in the moment, that feeling of insecurity, because you might not have every single thing that you could possibly want in your bag. So I remember that I'm choosing this. I'm choosing not to have the things in my life define me. And instead, I want to be defined by how I think about things, how thoughtful and how intentional I am about what's in my life, and that it's fun. That it's fun to have fewer and more beautiful things around me, and that I can stand in the truth of knowing that I made a decision ahead of time about what will be or will not be in my life. So now it's your turn, if you accept this challenge of becoming minimalist. You can start with these 6 steps. So again, here they are. The first one is this: list out what is truly important in your life. The second step is this: ask yourself, why do you buy things? Step number 3, define, why do you want to have less? Step 4, decide on a goal. Know what the outcome is, what results do you want to see. Number 5, put everything away and then only add back what you truly need or desire. And step number 6, buy things that will last. All right, my friends, so that's it from me this week on Becoming Minimalist. I hope you enjoyed that little story and the steps, and that you start to take some steps towards this direction if this is something that's interesting to you. So this is one of the ways that I've started to design my life. And if you want help designing your day, I want to tell you that I'm hosting a free Design Your Day workshop. So you can RSVP now to get a spot, and I'll share with you all the strategies and the tools that I use daily to shift my mindset so that I can become minimalist and make these kinds of changes. How I've been able to change careers, constantly up-level and improve my health. And so together we're going to start that process of designing a magical life. So you can go to mayemson.com/design your day to sign up for the workshop. All right, my friends, have an amazing week. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.